start, right? Okay, so good morning, students. Welcome to this webinar. Now, this is an entrepreneurship introduction to entrepreneurship. And Mr. Collins, who is a first student of Vessigny Secondary, is the presenter, and he is representing youth business team. And they have a lineup for you to introduce the world of business and entrepreneurship. So let's welcome him this morning with a round of applause, and then we'll take over.
All right, great. So just a check to make sure you're all hearing me. People in the front, you can raise your hand, please. All right. People in the back, you can raise your hand, please. North Stand, raise your hand, please. I don't know who's North Stand. That's what I figured. All right, so folks, like Miss said, I'm Shadron Collins. I'm the General Manager for Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago. Today, we're going to just kind of, if I use my Marvel language, this is going to be phase one, right? So we call this Spark. Really going to just help you kind of engage a couple of the entrepreneurs within the sector. We're going to talk a little bit about agri, we're going to talk a little bit about digital, we're going to have some entrepreneurs kind of talk about their journey, then we're going to leave you off with a bit of motivation as well. So that's the kind of schedule that we have lined up for today. Get your pen out, get your paper if you have one as well. We're going to ask a couple of questions at the end where you can actually get some prizes, right? So with that, use your memory, right? So with that, pay attention. We're going to have some prizes. If you have any questions, I believe you can send it to Miss, and Miss would interact with us. So we just have one person coming up to the session. All right, so folks, if you're ready, just raise your hand. Let me see, because I know I can't hear you from so far. So raise your hand. Let me know if you're ready. All right, great. So first off, this is part of our joint project with Atlantic as part of their sustainability projects within the community of Point Fortin. And this segment is really called Atlantic Youth Entrepreneurship Program. And we really want to bring entrepreneurship directly to you, the youths. So to bring remarks from Atlantic, I have Ms. Trudy Solomon, and Trudy is the Sustainability Officer and Sustainability and Corporate Communication at the team at Atlantic. So Trudy, welcome and hi.
Thank you very much, Shadron, for that wonderful introduction, and good morning to everyone at Vessigny Secondary. Can you just raise your hand if you are hearing me as well? Yes? Okay, fantastic. So I hope all of you at Vessigny Secondary are keeping safe and healthy. And it's great to see all of you guys back at school. As Shadron said, my name is Trudy. I work at Atlantic. How many of you know of Atlantic? By show of hands, I just want to check. You know Atlantic? Great, fantastic. So as Shadron mentioned, this program is really important to all of us here in Atlantic. Atlantic's Youth Entrepreneurship Program is one of Atlantic's newest initiatives. And so you guys are actually some of the first students that are participating in the program. And we wanted to add this program because we believe it will help students like yourselves get to know a little bit more about entrepreneurship and the potential that it has for success if you so choose it as a career in life. We think that it will build very important skills that can help you become very successful regardless of any career that you may choose, in fact. But entrepreneurial skills specifically, such as collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, all of these help you to build the right mindset for success. And this excellent program, facilitated by our partner, Shadron and the team at Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago, gives you all of those special skills and tools that you may need if you do want to own your own business one day. Another program that Atlantic has that has been going on is our loan for enterprise and network development. And it's a special funding program for persons who are on and want to become small business owners in the Southwest Peninsula. So if any of you do want to open a business one day, you can actually come to Atlantic's Lend, which we call our Lend Microfinancing Agency, and actually get financial support to fund your small business. So with that, I just want to say, I hope that each of you participate fully in this. You will learn a lot, you will benefit a lot, and we really hope to see you at Lend in the future. If you do think that this program is valuable and you really want to go along that entrepreneurial path, and we look forward to hearing your feedback about this program at the end. So let me wish you all of the success, and of course, keep being safe out there. And thanks again, and thanks to our partners at YBTT.
All right. Thank you, Trudy. Right. So, folks, we have an exciting lineup for you, and we won't do any too long introductions. We're going to drive right into it. So, Rish, put on your camera and get ready. So, folks, the first presenter we have is going to talk a little bit about agriculture to us, right? So, I don't know if you know the Market Movers. It was established in 2009, 2009, yeah, right? So, both Rachel and David were I don't know, that's so long ago. I don't know if I can call you all YBTT beneficiaries of so far back, right? But it's Trinidad and Tobago's first online distribution company of green grocer items, right? So from anything from farm to table was the initiative that really secures the freshest local products, right? That bring it directly to your doorstep, right? So you heard about Amazon and all those aspects, right? But we could talk about Market Movers as our own local brand here in Trinidad and Tobago. So with that, Rish, I'll pass you on to the students, and then we're going to just probably pull one word from Rachel, and that's one word I want you to make sure that you note. So Rish, take it away.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Hi, morning everyone. You all hearing me? So, as Shadron would have said, the Market Movers started in 2009, and thinking back, it's like 13 years ago I've been doing this. It started out as a really simple idea. We love food, and we just wanted to share that experience, the best ingredients with customers. So when we started, we couldn't really do a brick and mortar setup. So what we did first was, how you can sell through social media or online, we decided to do a website. And out of that company, Market Movers, we've launched 4 different companies. And that's just to tell you the potential of food and the potential of entrepreneurship specifically, that you can have an idea or a core passion and then convert it and grow it and evolve it over time, right? So Market Movers was the first business. We were an online delivery service. Next, we did our moving table, which is a farm to table dining experience. And what we found is by having these events, of course, COVID impacted these events, but when we had these events, we got to highlight and showcase our customers the importance of eating local. We use 95% local ingredients in every meal. We did this for about 5 years. We would have one event per month. And it really was to showcase and highlight what we were doing, but in a food way. Next, well, the online store. So this is what our store looks like. You go to the website, you add the produce to your cart, and you have it delivered to your home. You don't have to have a credit card. You can pay on delivery. We customize based on what you need. And then what we found is we got to highlight and promote other local food brands, right, on the platform. So this is the website. My first website, our first website was like on Yahoo, like a template. I don't know if anybody still uses Yahoo, but it's like a template. It's really basic, but we started somewhere. And it has evolved over time into this where you can now shop from anywhere in the world. We have persons from all over the world who buy food for their family here. They pay for it online and we deliver it straight to their door. This is the team. So we just launched our click and collect store, and it's Trinidad's first and only only click and collect grocery store, meaning you can only shop online or over the phone and your order is already packed up and brought to you. There's no walking through the aisles, there's no shelves. And all these things reduce overheads and costs where you can actually produce something without having to have a large building. So operating lean, and I think YBCT and Chadron definitely taught us that in the earlies, because we went for them for support. We asked for $30,000 loan, they gave us 10,000, but we turned that 10,000 into something much more. And these opportunities, it may seem small at the beginning, but this is the potential of how it can grow. There's me, some days I do pack boxes. And this is just to show you like how long ago we've been doing this. You could see David's hair grew drastically. Mine kind of was long and then got back short, but this is where we started. And back then, you had the digital camera with the date stamp. You could see we legit were doing this since 2009. And this is one of our first deliveries when we started back then. This is us in front of the store, and this is how much we've grown over that period of time. And because we have the website, this is important, tracking everything when you have a business. So when you start, it's always good to create those habits to document what you're doing. Even if it's, I have 10 customers, you know their name, you have their email address, you have their contact, those things. So this is important for our business because we track all the information of our customers, who's shopping, what they're searching for, and things like that. Again, we use that data to really guide how we grow our business. So when we started, we had 10 customers and they were like all related to us. None of them paid us. And now we have a database of over 10,000 online shoppers. We went from 10 deliveries to over 500,000 deliveries made so far. We sold 1 pound of food to over 1 million pounds of food. And this is local food. This is what we've always been passionate about. And again, this took 13 years, and a small idea can grow into something like that. And it feels great to look at the numbers because it just shows you how much you've grown over that time. So I'm sure, if I look back at my high school pictures now, I'm like, who's that person? But just remember that this first step is really important for the rest of your, for your future. So again, this is what a box of produce would look like at the store. All this was placed online and we deliver it to people's homes. Next, we would have launched Farm and Function, which is a line of frozen fruit product. It's the only local frozen fruit product on the market. And the same thing, we were just trying to highlight and promote local food. We wanted to add value to it. And smoothies, health and wellness, that was the future. Our customers kept asking, can you cut up the callaloo for us? They didn't even have time to cut up their own callaloo or, peel their pineapples. So we decided to launch this brand of local frozen fruits. It's available here locally. We actually just started exporting to Barbados, which is a big deal for us because, to go from, just me cutting up the pawpaw myself to being able to sell it throughout the region. We're going to enter into 4 more countries, hopefully within the next couple of months. And that's an exciting thing to know that you can take a passion and just get it out there. Again, it didn't happen overnight. It took time, it took research, but taking that first step is what initiated and ignited this path, right? So this is the brand. And just to show you, it's literally from local farms here. We cut it up, peel it, blast freeze it, put it in a pack, and then sell it to the groceries, export it, and things like that. And it's just an idea, you think you eat pawpaw every day and you may not see the value of it, but now it's like you're able to add more value to it. Rather than just sell it for $3 a pound, you can add value, peel it, cut it up for someone, and they're willing to pay more for it, right? Again, the pineapple, same thing. We compost all our waste. That's then turned into compost and fertilizer for farmers. So we try to give back. So if you're adding value to your products, you want to put back value in other ways, right? And again, this is us on the shelf in the grocery next to all the imported fruits. And, we want the future. Our core business is really to preserve the Caribbean way of life. We want that the future Trinidad and Tobagonians and the Caribbean they don't see strawberries as the only fruit that you can use in a smoothie. You know, we have guava, we have passion fruit, we have mango, we have all these amazing fruits that you can use now in your smoothies, right? And we wanted to give that to customers. This is a customer, you know, ordering their stuff, and, you know, instead of using the traditional strawberry, you know, they're using guava, they're using different local flavors. And then the last company that came out of this is Market Movers Design, where we now help other local food brands design and develop their packaging so that they too can grow the local food sector. So a big part of your individual passion is always thinking about how can it impact everyone around you? How can it impact your community as a whole, right? So we're not just only helping our brand, Farm and Function, we are now helping other local brands to design their packaging, get it into stores. We give them, you know, we share with them the tricks of the trade, what we learned over time with our own product, and pass it on to them, right? These are some of the brands that we would have worked with. We worked with Hong Wing. This is a 100-year-old company locally. I know some of your grandparents or parents still use Hong Wing. But they wanted to evolve and expand, offer new flavors. We were able to help them with their packaging. This is a local producer. They take cocoa fruits. Instead of just only making chocolate, they are making wine, and they just won an award in Germany for their product, right? So we are here to really, we help other brands in like other islands within the Caribbean. And again, we're not just thinking of Trinidad and Tobago, but we're thinking about the Caribbean food brand as a whole, because the more people recognize that our Caribbean food and local food has value, it's only going to validate what we are already doing. We've helped other brands do their websites because I've been in tech, because I've done web design, and they have been able to evolve. So this is a local soap company, CGA Caribbean. They went from, you know, regular soaps and things like that. They've evolved and done a more high-end cosmetic line with the same coconut oil, you know, and our mantra really is that if you eat, you're involved in agriculture, right? So we just feel that everyone in the value chain, all our customers, they need to understand their responsibility when it comes to what we're doing and the mission that we're on. And this is a great way to tie in that once you're eating something, once you're consuming something, you have to really think, is this something local? Is it adding value to my society? Is it adding value to where we are? You know, choosing the local foods instead of just the imported stuff. You know, it really does have a huge impact, and that's our mission, to really tell that story. And this is one of our farmers, Kathleen. You know, she went from just doing a couple rows of pak choy. She's now doing kale, cucumber, pak choy. She just put her son through school, you know, so there's a lot of opportunity in agriculture. Of course, it's hard work. And I will say that if there is that initial passion in what you're doing, you have to really think of that, not just for yourself, but how can you grow it to impact your society as a whole? And that's basically what I do in a nutshell. Let me just stop sharing. I hope that was enlightening a bit.
Yeah, so the boys yet, right? So I think, so the reason why we wanted Rachel just to come and discuss in terms of what her business is around, because it speaks a lot of opportunities in agriculture. So when people typically think that I'm going to get involved in agriculture, they need land, they need to actually figure out, okay, how to grow food. But then you look at, initially the Market Movers Limited, right? Creating a platform. I don't know if you talked about the event farm to table,
Yeah.
my moving table as aspect of it. Then you talk about frozen foods, right? Repackaging actual local fruits, because a lot of us go into the supermarket and you purchase peach, you purchase other fruits as well, right? And then you realize
that were brought in from another country when we have pineapples here.
Right, and it's a perfect example there. And then you talk about even composting, right? So even giving back and that whole circular economy, so composting as well. And then if you're an artist or a graphic designer, that doesn't mean they can't get involved in agriculture, because we've seen it done with market movers designs, right? So from website building to helping persons with their packaging as well. One of the things that we want to make sure that persons understand is that when we talk about agriculture, think agriculture plus, right? So think, yes, you want to say agriculture as the base, but what additional stuff can go in? So if you have your memory, and for later, right, because we're gonna test your memory as well, I want you to remember will work for food, right? So I repeat, will work for food. And Rachel, can I tell me how you came up with that whole slang, will work for food?
Well, I kind of greedy. I like to eat. That's really my business partner and I. We just like to cook and eat good food. But what we realized is the food wasn't working for us. We were the ones working for the food, right? So we were the ones pushing the agenda, pushing local. But I do work for money in return. But I am passionate about food, and that's really where that idea came about.
Great. So Rish, thank you. And have a great day. So folks, we just talked about agriculture, and we saw even when in Rachel's discussion around agriculture, she touched a little bit about digital as well, right? So using websites, a platform, and reaching your whole market. I mean, even through this outreach session, we're doing it virtually, right? So it's all about becoming new with agriculture. So the next entrepreneur that I want to bring on, and Jiran, I want to make sure I pronounce your name correct. Just give me a thumbs up if it is, right? Jiran Paul. And Jiran, I mean, we describe you as an innovator, a change maker, the ability to kind of system think and develop systems. I think I was watching an old video of you. I don't know if you remember it, because it's not in the bio that you sent me, where you challenge yourself to solve 3 world problems, right? Right, to the future.
Right.
So when we're talking about entrepreneurship, and diving into the world of entrepreneurship. And I always tell persons, it's not either choosing a career or choosing to be an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur is a career, right? And that's how we kind of have to see it from there. So with that, Mr. Paul, and let's give my thumbs if I pronounce your name correctly. I always pronounce it incorrect, but I'm a Shedron who always been called Sheldon, so.
We're in the same boat, yeah.
All right, so
yeah,
take it away.
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Shadron, and the entire YBTT team, as well as Vessigny High School as well. Yeah, you're real close. You're real close. It is Jarian. It's like Darian with a J. And I just figured over the years, that's the way to get people to pronounce it the next time. And yeah, just thanks for the opportunity. I'm really interested in just sharing just a few points with you all, the students. I mean, I really tried to tailor this presentation, if we could even call it that, based on what I just saw from Rachel. I thought hers was excellent in terms of just like visuals and all this stuff. I am more of like a conversationalist. I'm more of like a talker and a writer. So I just sort of wrote a few points, a few notes around what Shadron would have asked me to speak about in terms of digital in business, and just kind of breaking that down at a high level for you guys, the students, so that we can make sure we're on the same page in terms of what we're talking about with digital and business. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick and just make sure, is everybody hearing me, first of all? Yeah. And is everyone seeing the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Well, I'll just give a quick, before I even get into all this, I'll just give a quick backstory to myself. My name is Jarian Paul. I am an entrepreneur through and through. I would have started my entrepreneurial journey way back when I was maybe 10 years old or so. I had a mentor who's a cousin of mine give me a book called Think and Grow Rich. I read that book and my mind was just open to the possibilities of business. I would have since read a number of other books like from then to now, but that really got me started and got me thinking, well, what is this business thing? Like, how is it that there are people doing this business thing and it seems like their whole lives are transforming, kind of thing? And I sort of got into business while in secondary school. I had attended St. Mary's College in Port of Spain. And most of my time in school, I wasn't really doing school, you know. I was just selling stuff in school, to be quite honest. I was just, every single year in school, I would find something new to sell. The entire school to me was just this gigantic marketplace of like buyers and sellers. I realized people wanted X, Y, or Z. I would find X, Y, or Z and provide it to them across different forms, mainly in my form, but eventually throughout the entire school. And that eventually developed into a company called Sell Your Stuff, which basically I worked on for the last like 12 or 13 years, first by myself, eventually with some team members. And between Sell Your Stuff and now, there have been maybe 13 other different ventures, from events to food to all sorts of stuff, and really just trying to try my hand at business, because I was just so interested in the whole concept of it. Like, what is it that's really going on here? You know, so I did that, and actually would have put down Sell Your Stuff late last year, the end of last year. I'm no longer working on that company. But what I've learned from working in that one business up to now has just completely transformed my life and prepared me to work in the current business that I'm working in now, which I'll tell you all a little bit about at the end. Right. So that's just a brief description of myself, but just to get into it, I just wanted to start with, well, what is business in the first place? And throughout the years, I've heard lots of definitions, but I really think it's interesting because it's like every business does the same thing. It's just people doing things for other people. It's just you making something or doing something of value for another person. And it is just very interconnected, very human thing, where I'm just like producing this water for another person to drink, or I'm like making this food to give to this other person to eat, you know, and really that's kind of like the core thing about business. You're creating and selling products and services. So is it something physical that you're giving to someone, or even something digital that you're giving to someone? Or is it something that you're doing for someone? Are you cutting someone's hair? Or are you doing someone's nails? Like, what is it that you're actually doing? It's always a product or a service. And the best businesses really make something that people want, right? You could make anything, you could do anything, but at the end of the day, if we're doing things for people, it has to be something that another person wants. And when you actually make something that people want, then you actually have a business, right? Among other things, there's a bunch of other things in terms of, I saw Rachel talking about like the data and like finance side of things. Those things are very important as well. But just to break it down and make it very simple, I think it comes down to making something that people want and figuring out how to get it to them. And that kind of is more or less business to me, or like some of the core parts of it. And then that it just the digital in business. I mean, we have the word business. I feel like everybody knows what in is. And just to break down digital a little bit as well, what is it really? You know, we've been, as like a society, just kind of moving from stage to stage. There was a point where there was the Industrial Revolution that happened in history, where we would have got like things like the steam engine, and just like eventually we got cars, and like it's this idea that like we're getting this technology that's helping us do more with less, you know. And like I just kind of switched the word digital for technology a little bit there. To me, they are not the same, but they're very interrelated. And to me, digital really represents like the idea of software, which is really just kind of like, we got computers and we realized that we could use logic to kind of build different experiences that help people do more with less. And that ends up being technology, whether that's a steam engine, whether that's a computer. Like once we got to that stage with computers and the internet, we sort of stepped into like the digital world, where it's like you have the physical world that we're all in, but then you have things like Facebook and YouTube and like all these literally like millions and millions of digital experiences that you could jump into and do things in and do things that are of value to you. And people have created businesses around just that concept of like, people want to connect with each other on the internet. Let me make Facebook and let me figure out how to monetize Facebook, you know. But Facebook is really a piece of software. Like Microsoft Word is a piece of software. Like everything that you use on a computer is a piece of software, you know. And like that to me is like the foundations of digital in the first place. It started with computers and the internet, and it's really developed into more devices and apps. Now we have iPhones, we have all sorts of phones, we have tablets, iPads, etc. And we have apps, and all these apps on these devices is now sort of expanding this digital world that we kind of live in. I was talking with one of my friends and business partner and co-business partners the other day, and we were talking about, like, look at this thing TikTok that's now out, and it just seems to be performing so much better. It seems like so many people want to use it, and we're like, look at how they just like use the full real estate of the phone itself, and that made such a huge difference for them as a business, just because they realize, oh wait, people are using phones. Maybe they want to see like more real estate on the phone instead of like a square on Instagram. They just made it a rectangle, and everybody was like, oh my God, like TikTok is incredible, but like that's really where it's kind of come to. And now in this world of devices and apps, and so it's all the programs and everything that we had on computers is now coming over to like devices and apps, and we're using those a lot more. And just to continue, I asked myself like the question after like defining digital and business, like, has digital really changed business? And if it has, like how, right? And I told myself like, well, yes and no, right? I think business is basically the same. You can actually still in this day have a business that doesn't really use too much technology, and it could still be a business, right? But because we live in such a technological world and so many people use technology, you may want to still have technology in your business. I would strongly advise, but business is basically the same. It's still people doing things for other people, but technology has enhanced business and allowed business to grow and scale globally, right? Technology is just something you add to a business to make it easier for people to access, easier to use. Once again, just trying to help people get what they're trying to get, try to give people something that they want, and you're using technology as a vehicle to help with that. And so technology has also, or digital has also made business faster, cheaper, and easier to get started. It is just so much more, it's just so much easier to go on Google and figure something out. It's so much easier to get a business set up. Things are a lot cheaper because we have all this technology doing a lot of the work for us. So technology has really made business a lot more possible for people who otherwise would not have had that opportunity, right? And then it's also changed it because we interact with businesses digitally first, more businesses digitally first with every passing day, right? You'd see an ad on Instagram or something on Facebook, and that will send you to learn something about this company or that company. And I mean, we're really communicating with these companies via messaging or chat, and like there's just so many ways that we actually are using digital first before we even appear in person to do anything, right? And so that kind of was it in terms of what is business, what is digital, has digital changed business, and how. And there's just one last thing I wanted to talk about, which to me is just kind of to the point of what Sharon was talking about earlier, like how I would describe myself in terms of wanting to make a major change, right? We all live in Trinidad and Tobago, and we see, I think, your generation, I refer to you all as almost like the superheroes, basically, because I'm slightly relying on you all to help us figure out like how to actually make the major change in Trinidad and change things where you go into licensing office and you get through in 2 hours instead of like 2 weeks. Those kinds of systematic changes, I think, is something that digital business can actually help with in Trinidad and Tobago. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about where things are now, what the future of digital business is, and yeah, just like basically beg for your help, because we need all the help that we can get to actually make these kinds of changes. So basically, there's ways that you could kind of break up the web right now, and there's Web 1.0. Which I don't even know exactly what it is. I think that was like real early on, before you even had like browsers and stuff like that. That was like real early stuff. But the web that we know is Web 2.0, which has like Google and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. That's the web that all of us use today for the most part. And you know it because it's always like, okay, what's your email address to log in, and like what's your password? And then you have an account on Facebook, or you have an account on Google or Instagram that has like your information. And that's been fine. Like everyone, we've been using this for a good couple of years now, 10, 20 years. And this is the web that we know, this is the web that we use. But the future of digital business is moving in a new direction, where we talk about Web 3.0. And what is that? Basically, we have the internet as it exists now, which is what I call the internet of information. Like there's all this information moving around back and forth. And then you have companies like Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, who kind of collect that information and put a business around that information and find a way to profit off of that information. Web 3.0 is a little different because you as the user, it's your information and you retain ownership and control of that information anywhere you go on the web. So instead of going to Facebook and having an account, going to YouTube, having another account, going to Instagram, having another account, you have one wallet and you take your wallet wherever you go. Like you actually take your digital self with you everywhere you go on the internet, and like you actually keep that value or you retain that value and you allow access to your value to another entity, right? This is the web that we're actually moving into. This is the web that we'll see. We're already seeing. This is the web that we will see over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's not just the internet of information anymore. We also have the internet of value, where things that you do, you just being alive is a valuable thing. And things that you do online are also valuable things. And we know because Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, these are all billion-dollar companies. And they have mainly profited off of your information, my mom's information, my grandma's information, and just like all this information. But with Web 3.0, you sort of retain your value on the internet and you move your value where you'd like it to go. So some examples of websites where you can actually see Web 3.0 in action: MetaMask, OpenSea, of which one of my business partners works there. He's from Trinidad as well. He's now their 14th employee. He was their 14th employee. I think they have like 200 employees in the last 9 months or something. It's really fast growing, this entire space. There's another website called Magic Eden. And Web 3.0 is all about wallets and actually money, internet money that you hold and you move around to different websites. So it's a kind of just a different world. And I know I'm getting close on time as well. So just to wrap up, that kind of leads nicely into what I do now, which is basically I work in the crypto space sort of globally and in Trinidad and Tobago in particular. And basically it's very interesting because I think business all the time before was very much about competition, right? I know we've all heard like there's no friends in business, like it's a dog eat dog world, competitive advantage, all these sort of like terms that talk about competing with one another to, I guess, win some prize. But there's I think business is going to take on a new sort of vibe, and it's going to be a lot more collaborative in nature as we move into the future, because we now have the technology like cryptocurrency that would allow us to actually like share value between each other really easily, and collaborate more. And it's crazy, the thing with collaboration, it always feels like it's not, like you're always wondering like, will I get enough value out of this? Like, is my interest being protected? There's always this friction around collaboration. But the people who I'm working with now, different business partners and so on, different like partner organizations, we still feel that tension, but when we actually move through that tension and collaborate, it seems like there's more available for everyone than if we were to just compete and not really work together. So collaboration versus competition, I think we'll see like more collaboration actually happening. I think that's more the vibe of your generation, of my generation. We want to see things change in positive ways. We don't really care that much about money, status, and power. We are more concerned with, well, will a tsunami destroy the Caribbean? And we're like, nah, I'm not really trying to go through that. So that's kind of where it's at. Like we actually do need to collaborate and work together, even in business. And crypto kind of represents a new era for digital business in terms of you being in control of your own finance and your own value on the internet and everywhere, and being able to take that with you everywhere you go, whether you leave Trinidad and Tobago, go somewhere else. Once you have cryptocurrency, you essentially have every currency in the world. You can convert it for any other currency anywhere in the world. And what I do now, my business now, is actually helping people in Trinidad and Tobago access cryptocurrency with TT dollars, and helping people with cryptocurrency access TT dollars when they need it as well. So essentially being able to cash out their crypto for TT. And so that is basically it in as much of a nutshell as I could. as I could bring it to you all. I use a little bit of technology to kind of prepare this small write-up. There's this app that I use called Simple Note. And this link, I'm going to just put it in this Zoom call. And if any of you are interested in reaching out to me, asking me any questions, contacting me at any point in time to do anything, my number is on this link. You can just follow this link. You'll see notes of everything that we talked about here. And you can message me on WhatsApp or give me a call at any point in time. And there's also my website where you could see a little bit about what I'm up to, which is justjarian.com. And thank you all so much for your time and patience and just like listening to this random person talk for a little bit. And yeah, thank you very much as well, Shadran, and just the entire team for the opportunity. And you all have a great day.
All right, great. So thanks, Jarian. Closer, Jarian.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's it. That's
See?
it.
All it took was time, man. All it took was time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and you know, we dived into the world of the possibilities of digital. So one of the things you spoke about is that, you know, the question of has digital helped or hindered business? And I think digital by itself isn't a business. And it comes back to what you spoke about in terms of, and this is a clue for the next question or tip, what is a business? And a business is really creating value for other people, right? And that is the concept that you want to work with. So even if you think about Facebook, think about what value you're getting off of Facebook, right? Think about what value you're getting out of, well, soon the metaverse, right? what value you're getting off of there, right? And how they're actually getting back value in terms of data that they're collecting, and we spoke about that as well. So thank you, Jarian. And so folks, the first question, before we move on, and this is for the first giveaway, and just to answer the question, you just have to raise your hand. Miss, you there? I just want to know if Miss there. Right. Right, so Miss, you'll have to confirm and just let me know if they answer the question. So you could probably be the in-between. I'm giving you some exercise, yeah? You have to be the in-between for me as well. Right, you could hear that from there. And so we talked about the first clue, right? So when during Rachel's presentation, and I want 2 answers, and this is for one of the tokens from Atlantic. And Miss, you'll let's know the person's name so I can always go with that as well.
Okay, yeah.
So Rachel said one thing, there's her tagline. I want somebody to give me the missing word in the tagline, but I also want 2 things that her business is doing, right? So will something for food, what was it?
Repeat the question.
All right, so it's two answers, right? It's a part A and a part B, all right? Part A, give me the missing word from the market movers, Rachel's presentation. Will something for food. So what is that something supposed to be? And then the second part of the question, name 2 things that her business is doing in agriculture.
Put up your hands and I'm coming to sit down.
No collaboration, eh? There's one prize.
Chadron, I need to work on my branding.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So Anaya Kadogan said the first one is work. Well, work.
Right. Work is correct.
And the second answer is producing vegetables, locally produced vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
This and the other, what's the other part of the question again?
No, it's two services that she offers through her business.
And what is the other service? And the other one is creating jobs.
Creating jobs. Rage, that sound correct?
I mean, technically.
Technically, but we've been looking at technically. I want two services. We talked about frozen food was one, right? If you can give me another one.
You could also go to my website.
Hey, that ain't school.
All right. So we got the online shopping,
Online shopping, right?
and,
So this was
and delivery service.
all right. Well, that's the same business. We will take that. So who was that, miss?
What's the name? Kayla Smith.
Brian Johnson, you said?
Kayla Smith.
All right. So yes, let's take the data and I'll get it from you after, right? So that's one of the prizes I'm giving out. Remember I told you to take notes, right? So let's remember with that. So next up, we have a panel of entrepreneurs, right? And we're going to test dive in. I'm going to just ask them some hard questions. Didn't prepare them anything. So I see them worrying. But don't worry, I see a couple of them outside by the coconut tree as well. So you just want to jealous everybody. So everybody has to be us. Right? So we're just going to talk about a couple of entrepreneurs. I'm going to give them a slight introduction. And I don't want to do too much on their business because I want them to, that's the first question. That's to kind of introduce your business as well. So, and well, we talked about this program also being sponsored by Atlantic, LNG. And we actually have one of the Point Fortin's finest. I don't know what year was that. Put some age on you.
2002.
2002, yes. Right? We have people that born here. People born there, man. Right, 2002. So Adana is a brand strategist. So the aid is curation, so you can always check that out. And really and truly, she works, and she made a transition recently to working in a corporate environment to now actually working on helping and supporting service-based businesses in a digital space. Right, so you're going to find out a bit about that. So hi, Adana. Right, and next we have Bevon. Right, so Bevon is an alumni as well. So I don't know if Bevon, you ever saw the library?
Spend plenty time inside the library.
All right, spend time in the library. Right, great. And Bevon's area is around sports therapy. Right, so for those athletes in the room, it'll be interesting to talk to Bevon as well. And his focus is really the rehabilitation of patients, right? Especially if you have, or prevention, I should say, and the rehabilitation of patients as well. And it's around sports fitness and regardless of age or ability. So we can work with anyone right now. The longest while we have running up and down some stairs, but that's okay, right? So Devon, welcome. And then we have Devon, right? And Devon was one of our recent graduates from the Shell LifeWire program. And the green bartender is his code name, and it's also his business name, right? And we're going to find interesting things. I mean, we talked about Agriculture Plus, right? So we're talking about Agriculture Plus and what other things that can be done with agriculture. And so Devon has his urban farm. He runs and operates an urban farm. I mean, Devon operates an urban farm, but most of the ingredients that he actually uses to create his cocktails, right? So, I mean, I miss in person. Well, I don't think we could have given any to the students, but, but creating your own cocktails and beverages with those aspects. But I know you also work on health drinks as well, Devon. So I know we have that space that we're going to talk about. And he's a recent award-winning mixologist as well. So we talk about entrepreneurship and we talk about agriculture. We're talking about sport, and then we're talking about creating that personal brand. Right? So I'm going to start with Adana first, ladies first, fellas, hard luck. She's also family, so so we'll have to go to this. So Adana, can you tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into it?
Okay. Well, my business, it was recently started. I started in 2021. And what I do, I help service-based businesses create a brand so that they could attract the type of customers that would help them grow their business, right? They could attract the right customers. How I got into this is kind of an extension of what I used to do in the corporate world. So by trade, I am a market researcher. I've been in market research for about 5 years. By the time I left, I was in that for about 5 years. And what I realized is a lot of the marketing techniques that large companies would do in Trinidad and in the region, a lot of small businesses did not have the know-how. And a lot of people would ask me when they found out I was working in market research, people with small businesses would ask me for advice. So I knew that this was a market that was untapped. Small businesses needing marketing and branding advice. And it was something that I did for so long and it came naturally. So I decided that this was the perfect way for me to start my own business.
Right, great. And we'll go over to sports, right? So Bevon, kind of let us know how you got into this. I mean, I don't know if any of your teachers in the background there just remember any trouble you probably give, but
Well, hi everyone, my name is Bevon. Well, basically I started Pro Sport Clinic TT Limited back in 2013 when I graduated UE. Basically what the clinic is based on, it's a mobile clinic. We provide services for athletes, clubs, schools, you name it. So it's we subcontract basically trainers, doctors, nutritionists, everybody. So it's a holistic approach. We tend to work a lot with South athletes. So one of my main athletes, or one of the athletes that I got started with, was another alumni, Dream Richards. You know, we started back in he came into the clinic in 2014. You know, and from there it was just amazing. It's been a great journey thus far. You know, we have a lot of things. We do homework centers, career fairs, all these stuff, just to give information about how you could merge sport into everyday life.
Yeah, and I think it's always good to remember that even in secondary school as you're in now, you might be sitting down to probably a future business partner, probably somebody that you actually might be working with, right? So it's about building those relationships early as possible. So next we have the green bartender. I mean, tell us a little bit about that, how you got started, and when you're sending me the next drink. That health and energy drink, because we have Devon watching me as well.
No problem. So my name is Devon. You all hear me properly? There's a lot of background
Yeah, we're
noise.
hearing you.
Okay, good. So basically I wanted to get into agriculture. I did not have a lot of land to use. It was mainly urban space that I had available to me. But you know, where there's a will, there's a way. So I started to grow ingredients, a lot of different culinary herbs and whatnot. And in the foray of agriculture, I realized it just wasn't a lot of emphasis or importance that was given to it for such a valuable service. So I decided, and because I like beverages, I like to drink. I'm much more like drinking something rather than eating. That's just where my culinary is. So I decided, why not make beverages from what I grow? And there's such a difference in taste from something that you pick fresh and it's real ingredients. And I just wanted to give that impression out to other people of the importance of agriculture, and it tastes different, right?
Right. So, I mean, so we when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's either well, you can do both, but you always create either a product, you always create a service, but most importantly, you're creating value for someone. And I think that is the most important thing that we look at. So we talk about creating value for someone, so I want to focus on the someone, right? So if you had to give me, and I'll throw this out, in determining, okay, I'm ready to start this business, the first question that persons always ask is, who am I going to sell this product to? who am I going to serve, right? So how did you come up with your ideal customers or persons that would purchase your drinks, or persons who would purchase your service? How did you go about finding that right person? Bevan, you want to go first?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, I would say my whole mantra was turning my passion into my profession. So basically what I did, I love sport from young. I was always on the national team and I always had a connection with them. So, you know, growing up, it was like, all right, what can I do? Well, a long time, we really didn't have much physios and sports doctors and these kinds of things. So basically what I did was find the niche in my area that I loved, and which was sport, and it just kind of gelled well for me. So when I came back from England, it was a no-brainer. You know, I started off, I wanted all this hype life. You know, I wanted to work for the government, and I keep sending in my resume, and it was kind of hard. So I was like, nope, I'm going to just do this, and from there it just took off. So I would say, you know, you would have, how to put it, just find what you like, and once it is you find what it is you like, well, what you're passionate about, you could turn that into any profession, anything. So that
And Devon, I'll come back to you. So Devon, in terms of this whole green bartender aspect, how did you find the right people for your product?
All right. Well, working in the hospitality industry as a bartender, I used to bring a lot of the stuff that I grow into the bar and just testing out new drinks for customers, because I had regulars and they'd always just be like, well, make me something now. And a lot of the drinks like I garnish with like nice flowers, it's pretty. And I just realized that a lot of people who gravitated towards the drinks were of a certain age bracket. It was mainly females as well. And just from seeing how customers responded, I built my ideal customer from just trial and error and noticing the trends.
All right, great. And Adana?
For me, I started with my friend group, my personal friends. My actual first customer was my best friend from high school. And how I realized that she needed help was because a lot of young people now are starting businesses, even though they are employed in the corporate world or for the government. And the thing about it is they are good at what they do at their job. However, when they start their own business, they don't know how to get clients on the outside. So they're like, I'm a good accountant, I'm a good doctor, I'm a good lawyer. I want to do this for myself. I don't know how to get those clients. And I was listening to my friends complaining about how hard it was. And they were starting to think that maybe something was wrong with their own talents. But then when they explained to me what it is that they did, I say, no, but you're real good at what you're doing. I know what is your problem. And your problem is that you don't know how to market yourself. You don't know how to create a brand. So what I did actually, one morning I reached to work very early and I said, you know what, time for me to start my business. And I called my best friend and I said, hey, I heard you were having some problems. What if I do XYZ for you and I give you it at a discounted price and I use like your stuff for my marketing? Would you take it? And she was like, yes, please. When is the next date? So that is how I started with my identifying who would be the right customers for me.
All right, great. So I mean, we talked about connecting with you in your circle, right? As potential customers. I mean, even when I think Rach was on earlier, she spoke about the first set of clients that she had, right? What's in her circle and family and friends as well. But we also talk about probably just testing it out and see who are the people who are buying, right? So who the people who are buying are the people that are going to be your potential customers as well. So getting out there and just trying it. And I think that is the main thing. And as you talk about just trying it, what was that? I mean, well, Devon, you kind of spoke about it a bit, so I'll probably want you to elaborate a bit more. What was that push for you to get into entrepreneurship, right? What was that feeling like? One, what created the push or created the pull towards entrepreneurship? And on the other side, how did you set that mindset to get into it and knowing that this is the pathway and I want to get into?
Well, basically for me, it was a no-brainer because when I came back home, it's not like we have a market for sports therapists. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we only have like physiotherapists, and other than that is a massage therapist. So basically, injury care prevention is something that I'm real passionate about. So finding that sphere was easy for me. Kind of just working with, well, it started off with my grandmother, and she would carry me to the clinic, and she had a friend who had a problem, and then they would be like, oh, daddy, young man. And it started off like that. And then when I went to games, everybody go start to say, well, Bevon is the guy, check Bevon. And and it's just word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. So it was a kind of like, all right, I need to just run with this. Because in the beginning, I've been honest, I wanted the government work, I really wanted it. But after a while I was like, this is not for me, and I've been real, it's 7 years plus going, and what has been great, even in the pandemic I was fortunate enough to be on a panel that did the protocols, the health and safety protocols, stuff like that. So opportunities will come. So it's just about being patient, and finding that kind of who it is, how it is, when it is, everything that's falling into place.
Yeah, and I think I could probably sum that up in terms of sometimes you don't find your path finds you, right? So I think it's that aspect. So Adana, I want to bring you back in just to kind of talk about that transition that you made.
For me, my transition came from knowing that, well, like Bevon, I really wanted to work in corporate or government, something like that. And after years of working in the corporate environment, I was fed up, to be honest. I was fed up of the rigidity. Because one thing about corporate, it is like they have a system and you fall into that system. And even if you have great ideas, you may not always get the chance to experiment and do what you want. And like now with my business, I make my own marketing. I launch a product when I want to. I work with my clients on a schedule that moves with me as well. And also I know for the type of lifestyle that I want, I really like traveling. My parents are also older, so I want to spend more time with them. Those things I decided that I needed to create a job, a career, something for me that would fit me rather than having to bend all the time to corporate lifestyle. So that was my inspiration. That's what pushed me into entrepreneurship.
Any mindset change that had to be made?
Yes, a huge shift. So it took a while for me to stop being so uptight, because a lot of times in corporate, they I don't want to say brainwash you, but it is a brainwashing that goes through, because you do have to present a certain image to people, and you don't get to share a lot of yourself. So knowing that it's okay to share more of who I am in entrepreneurship was one of the things that took me a bit longer, rather than the skills of like setting your own timetable and all of those things. Those things came kind of easily because I would do that at work. But really the biggest shift for me was knowing that it's okay to show people who I am and show more of my personality.
Yeah, and I think the big part of that mindset is getting over the fear of self, right? Because sometimes you are the one blocking the opportunities that presenting itself, and it's to overcome that self-doubt and that having that self-reflection and saying, here's what, let me bet on myself, right? Let me give myself a chance, right? So therefore, you want to kind of give us a little bit about your transition story?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess to bring it to relevance to you folks in Vessigny, from my secondary school days, like I always felt like I wanted to make an impact, wanted to make some sort of positive change. I didn't exactly know where it was or how it was gonna happen. So fast forward now, I'm coming back home from university in my mid-20s, and my grandfather's sister was trying to quit smoking. And so she knew, I do my research and stuff like that coming from
We're losing you a bit, Devon. So I don't know if yeah.
Yeah. So, right. So she's trying to quit smoking and she asked me to look up some stuff. So I did find different herbs and teas that you could drink. I found it online and I ordered it in. By the time it reached, she had passed away. And that kind of hit home. And I was just looking at the ingredients more, and I had bring in stuff like chandelier bush that grow in here, and I just did not know that it was available here, or what it was, or what are the benefits now. And that's where my transition started, because I was like, well, this don't make any sense to import stuff that here already. And that's where my knowledge drive started, and I just kept going from there.
Nice. So I think we talk a lot about sometimes, you just don't know what you just don't know, right? And a lot of getting into entrepreneurship is research. When we had Jarian before, he spoke about, the whole metaverse, even the web 2.0, are we using it correctly? So are we using Facebook, YouTube, all those Instagram aspects to actually gain knowledge of what is out there and what possibilities are out there? As simple as doing some Google searches, right? So I hope that you research all these entrepreneurs' businesses that we actually talked about. And, we talk about the mindsets outside of mindset. What would you say are some of the traits that an entrepreneur needs to have? Right, especially when dealing with the positives and the challenges that comes with entrepreneurship. Right, so Devon, I would start with you.
Well, definitely say perseverance. You had to have a strong belly because not everything is gonna go how you plan it or how you want it to. So definitely perseverance and just keeping your head up. That I think that's the most important mindset to me.
Yeah, and I think in the whole entrepreneurship world, something that we always talk about, stick to itness, right? So the ability to kind of stick to it, right? As the phrase says, the ability to stick to it, because it's going to be some ups and downs. Sometimes in the early stages, more downs than up, right? So how do you deal with that aspect? So Adana, I want to bring you in. So what is a trait that you think that an entrepreneur needs to have, or a student needs to kind of work on and develop as they get into entrepreneurship as a career?
I think the ability to rally others to join your cause is one of the main things that you need to develop. Because as an entrepreneur, a lot of times we think we go into it by ourselves, and we do that. Even if you're a sole trader, you go into it by yourself. But in order to grow, you do need to have people come on and at least like help you, or you would need to get a loan from someone, or you would need to go somewhere and tell others about your cause. So one of the main things that you have to do, you have to be able to speak to people and communicate what it is you do and be persuasive enough so that they would decide to support you or buy into your cause.
Nice. So and that starts with your network, right? So if you try to encourage your network, but sometimes even your network isn't supportive. So you're even connecting with persons and letting them hear your story, so that even the ability to story tell and talk about your entrepreneurial story and why is this valuable, right? So we talk about entrepreneurship and we talk about business in the whole is creating value for others. So can you let persons and communicate that value to someone, right? So Bevon, what about you?
The willingness to accept change. Always remember that. Always be willing to accept change. It will have times where you would think that everything should go the way it's supposed to, but life don't work like that. Trust me, it don't work like that at all. So always be open-minded and be always willing to adjust to the punches. Just accept change. Change is great. Trust me.
Yeah, and there's a quote that says change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Right? So change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And I think that is something that we have to kind of remember. So yes, the world is changing. New digital technology is coming in, but the option to use it is up to you at the end of the day, right? And how you're going to use it is up to you as well. So folks, I want to thank you all for being part of the panel, but I want to take some last minute tips from each of you. Just to kind of talk about, for young persons thinking of entrepreneurship as a career and a pathway going forward. And that's a little clue for the audience as well. I'll choose the next question to ask in terms of giveaways coming from the tips. Right? So who wants to go first? Free ball.
All right. So I have 4 tips for you guys. So the first one is turn your passion into your profession. The second one is to enjoy the journey. The third one is think outside the box. And the fourth one is data collection is key. Always remember that.
I feel like you planned this, so you end up with 4 so fast. All right, great. Navon, you want to go?
In regards to tips, well, I guess I'll lead back to what I said earlier. Perseverance is key. Know your audience. Know your audience is definitely a big tip. Know your numbers. And that took me quite some while. So I would say that is a very big tip, because you have to know your numbers, regardless of whatever it is you're doing. Once you're buying and selling or anything like that, you need to know where you stand financially. And enjoy the process, love what you do. That's the biggest tip right there.
All right, and I think somebody thinks repeating, because I know everyone talked about enjoying your journey and love what you do. We have 2 keys so far, right? The data is key and perseverance is also key. Right? But we also spoke, and when we talked about know your numbers from Devon, right? Numbers really is about, can you actually watch financials and understand where are you making money, are you losing money, right? Usually when we teach our design thinking and business model classes and stuff like that, we talk about that sanity check is making sure that your revenue is more than your cost. As simple as that, right? Because when that cost every month is more than your revenue, that's where you can kind of go insane as an entrepreneur sometimes, right? So it's making him understand. And I think this is the POA class, right, miss? I know some of the students here from POA.
Yes, all from POA.
All right, you see, so perfectly set up, right? So, Adana, you want to send us home?
Yes. I would say the biggest thing for me is start building your relationships from now. Start maintaining good relationships from now, and start building your personal brand from now. You may think that, oh, because I'm a student, I'm still in school, I don't even know what type of business I'm going into. That may not be important, but as Devon and I both said, our first customers, our first people that we serve were people close to us. And what if we were people that people didn't trust? Would we be able to start our business, right? So we need to build our trust from now. Have a good rapport with your teachers, have a good rapport with your fellow students, because when you get older, you're looking to start your business, they will be the first people to support you.
Right, great. So I mean, that could sums up in terms of your network is also your net worth, right? So it's understanding that aspect. But also, as you go into this Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, are you Googleable? As simple as that, right? In the sense that if you Google your name right now, what do you find? And are you creating that digital footprint about yourself? So part of that is your brand. I would tell you, not necessarily entrepreneurship, but even from a career standpoint, getting into sending in your resumes. The first thing I do in terms of reading through resumes is Google the person and see what I find, right? And nothing is not good. As simple as that. So even if you can't get working experience, you can always volunteer somewhere, right? And build that experience from there. So that's the last bit of quotes. And I want to thank the 3 of you for being part of the panel and sharing your experience from the alumni, from the Vessigny alumni, from the Atlantic alumni, and from the Shell Livewire alumni. Right? Thank you for being part of the program, folks. And yeah, and we have one last presenter, and I'll introduce him, right? He's one of our, hi guys. So he's one of our mentors, trainers within our youth business programs. And this is going to be our mentoring moment. But before I bring you in, Surin, I really want to kind of ask 2 questions, right? So the 2 giveaways. Miss, we are going and you get to exercise. Right? So the first question is, we had 3 entrepreneurs just on the panel. Could you tell me what were, and I say it slow, and you don't have to tell me the names of the business, but tell me what industries those businesses were. I needed to be there live like Jeopardy. Na, 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 na. Oh, wait.
So I have Jaquan Jones saying sports therapy, hospitality, and beverage. Is it correct?
Hospitality, no. Come again, come again.
Next one.
You give me, so you give me Bevon and you give me Devon. That's a hint. If you get somebody help him out now, man. Phone a friend, phone a friend.
What's the marketing search? She said marketing search.
Well, it's branding, but I'll give you that because you got 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. All right. So the next question, and I'm asking yes, I want off the bat. So when we spoke to
all right, so they supported Jaquan.
all right, cool. All right.
Just send some extra.
We'll see. All right. So the third question, all right, and we had Jiran before.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about what is a business.
Uh-huh.
And we said a business is creating X. So replace X. we get into some maths. Right? A business is creating X for other people. What is that X?
Product and services.
Nope.
Okay, I have one saying brands, one saying opportunities.
Nope.
The next one says jobs.
Nope. It's a 5-letter word.
A 5-letter word.
Starting with V. Everybody playing Whittle. Starting with V.
Values.
Right, creating value, not value, but not plural, but value. Right? Right, so whoever said value one?
Huh?
Whoever said value? So we talked about a business is creating value. And make sure they said value, MS, because next thing they said menu, and that's not really the right answer.
I get in the So Anaya Karavan was Right. That was the answer from Anna.
All right, great. So that's how much we gave away so far, 3. We have
Yes,
one more.
Right.
All right, but we'll do the one more right after our last presenter. So we have coming up our last presenter, Mr. Surin Maharaj. Right, like I said before, he's one of our mentors, our trainers, but professionally, he's a certified professional coach. Right, so when we talk about leaving you with a bit of motivation and to walk away, something to walk away with, this is our mentoring moment with Surin.
Thank you, Shadran. And, you know, I want to say hello to the YBTT team. I see quite a few of them are present with you. The folks at Vessigny Secondary, Atlantic Energy, I think, your fellow participants. Thank you very much. And I really believe it's a good opportunity for me to be here to chat primarily with the young folks that I can see on Marla's screen there. And when I was asked to talk about this, one of the things that came to mind was passion. And it was really interesting listening to the panelists speak, because I'm not sure if you heard what I heard. A lot of them talk about the importance of passion. And I think Bevan, and you know, there's a little bit of a tongue twister there. We have Bevan and Devon. So I think Bevan said one of his first tips was turn your passion into your profession. So I thought that was a good way to really start to introduce what it is I'm going to talk to you about just for a few minutes. I know you guys have been listening, absorbing a wealth of information all morning. And, you know, I just want to wrap this up as quickly as I can. So if you can bear with me for about 10 or 15 minutes, I really appreciate that. And a gentleman named Howard Truman said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who come alive. So the world is waiting for you guys. And they're not waiting for you to finish school. They're waiting for you to show up and be yourself, make a difference, really create that impact that you need to have in the world. And if you heard our entrepreneurs speak, they all talked about finding their passion and developing that passion into something that made financial sense to them, that made money. And I'm sure that you guys have often heard people say this: when you make money out of the things you love, it does not feel like a job. It does not feel like you're working, because you're doing something that you truly enjoy and love. So you have purpose. How many of you think that you know what you want out of life?
What you want out of life? Money. We have answers like money.
Well, I'll throw this, you know, what is the purpose in life? What is your purpose, right? And you don't need to answer me. You know, you can just think about it, right? Because you need, as you grow older, as you learn things, you need to be able to ask yourself what it is you want. Because if you don't know, you will not be able to go in that direction. So, and I heard some of you say, the purpose in life is become rich and famous. Some of us would want that. To have endless pleasure, to acquire power and influence over other people. Right? No, nothing is wrong with that, right? But how do you get that? We think, some of us and some people out there, and you know, the research tells us that people think that they can get all these, the purpose in life and the pleasures in life by drugs and alcohol, by obtaining approval from others, by the food that we eat, you know, by having countless pleasures, by seeking control, seeking safety, or a successful career. And I'm sure that there are many more that you know, some of you may have in mind. But what happens when we obtain our purpose and our pleasure in life this way? You know, that's why rehab centers are very prominent nowadays. We have a problem with obesity. People get bored, depressed, anxious, and you feel empty. Because truly, these are not things that lead you to have a purposeful life. What about your attitude? You know, this is a word that we hear so often. We either have a good attitude, bad attitude, indifferent attitude. People tell you, I like your attitude, I don't like your attitude. Attitude is everything. It is. Your attitude towards your work, towards your school work is a big thing. Because if you don't attack that with the right attitude, you may not get the results that would help you to achieve some of the things in life that you want to achieve. So if attitudes are contagious, and I really want you to ask yourself this question. If attitudes are contagious, is yours worth catching? Would you like people to catch your attitude, to be like you? You know, I could also say, surround yourself with people with the right attitude, people that you want to be like, people that you see that are doing the things that make sense to you. There is this, and I know you guys in school like all these graphs and charts and all these things. There's something called the Johari window model that helps you to understand yourself and how to become a little bit more passionate about what you do. And it talks about either, you know, you have things that are you're hidden, you're open, you have a blind area or an unknown area. But the one thing I want to focus on is the open area. Because we all need, myself included, we all need to be a little bit more open. Right? So we have to know about ourselves and we have to make sure that people know about us. Now you heard Shadron say, networking, your network is your net worth. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but you have to know your net worth. And by networking with the right people at the right time in your life. And you know, you might say, but I'm in school, I don't need to network. Yes, you do. You need to be able to connect with people who you aspire to be like, who are achieving the results that you want so that they can help elevate you to a different level in life. We know this. Happy folks know this. They know who they are. They know what they did. They know who they did it for. And they know what those people wanted or needed. And they also knew how did the lives of those persons change? How did they impact people? And you know, one of the things that make us feel the best is when we do something for somebody and we see that it has really helped them. And when we truly do it without any hidden agenda, without any need for compensation or without any need to get something back, we truly help somebody, it is truly satisfying. So just imagine that you could live your life in a certain way with the passions that you have that made an impact on the lives of other people. Happy people know their purpose. So we could also flip that around and say, when you know your purpose, you live a happier life. You live a more purposeful life. Things make sense. Now, we all talk about, about time, right? And we know this much. Time is a very important commodity. It is critical to everything that we have. Time is more important than money. Because guess what? We can make more money, but we certainly cannot make time. So what I want to help you to understand is, in order to live a very purposeful life, a very passionate life, you need to be able to utilize your time to the fullest. Don't waste it. We have the same 24 hours in the day that everybody has. We might notice that some people are utilizing that 24 hours to their max. They're achieving all the things that they want, and some, right? How are you utilizing your time, will make a lot of difference. So become passionate about how you approach time. Well, it is the most valuable commodity out there. So some elements of a purposeful life is that contributing. What are you contributing to society, to your school, to your community? Are you engaged in what you do? Are you finding things to do? So therefore, getting rid of some of that spare time that you have that you get up to mischief with, but you replace that with more purpose, with activities, things to do, whether it be schoolwork, home work around the house, helping your parents, helping friends, helping a neighbor. We all go through a little bit of suffering in our lives, right? And some of us think that in school we suffer the most because we have, 10 subjects to do, we have homework for these 10, life doesn't get any worse. But if we learn to find meaning in that suffering, we can truly live and appreciate a better life. Turn negativity into a more positive situation. Sometimes you ask yourself this, and I like to ask myself, when sometimes you hear somebody say negative things about you, and it may be some of your good friends, and they may say something negative. And I ask myself, is it truly negative? Are they being harmful or helpful? Or is it my view of what they're saying is negative? Right? So I may know Shadron. Shadron, I know him to be a positive person, and he normally says good, uplifting things. And he may say something and it may come across differently in your head, in my head. The best thing to do is to ask for clarification. Because when you understand, and it's really stressful when people say negative thing about you because you take it negatively. But if you take it as feedback, something designed to make you better, if you ask yourself, hey, would that make me better? What do I need to do with what that person just said? Am I really like that? And if so, what can I do to become better? So drive your purpose and passion with learning to improve your life, right? As Shadron quoted earlier, he says, change is a must, growth is optional. Change is inevitable, growth is optional. But if you change, let's make that growth as real as it can be. Make that a positive change in your life. Give meaning to your life. Nobody else is going to. Don't wait for life to give you meaning. You know, you hear people say, grab life by the horns. But when you grab it by the horns, what are you doing? Right? So take control of that. How do you find this purpose in life, right? So recommendation is be consistent with inner goodness and ethical principle. When you go to sleep at night, make sure you have a clear conscience. You have done the things that you need to do in the right way, in the right time, for the right people, that you have a good ethical principle that you can hold on to. Look deep into your heart and ask yourself, what am I giving to the world? Am I making it a better place? What are your unique gifts? Focus on that. What are your strengths? What are your interests? Really drive into all of those things. And look at your surroundings. And you know, organizations like YBTT and it's helping you to find opportunities, providing resources. Tap into organizations like that and many other organizations that exist to see what is available, how they can help you to fuel your passion. So my question, and maybe I'll leave that for Sharon to ask and see what kind of answers we come up with. If you were told that you only had 3 months to live, would you live it any differently? And what would you do with the remaining days? I leave that just as a question for you to ask yourself. And I also would like to see this one thing happen, that you write a mission statement for your life. Ask what is lacking in your life right now. And what values are most important to you. Now, when I talk about values, and when most people talk about values, they're not talking about things that are valuable, like your cell phone, your laptop, your devices. We're talking about a state of mind. Like a value is something that is important, but you can't hold it. It's not a physical thing. So happiness is a value. Spirituality is a value. So what are your values? Because you need to be able to live in accordance with your values. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening to me. I hope I have at least given you something to think about. My details are there if you have any questions, and I turn it back over to you, Sharon.
Thanks, Surin. And we talk about entrepreneurship as a whole, and I think probably 2 or 3 slides back, we talk about in terms of developing that purposeful life, right? And that's really what entrepreneurship is about in a nutshell, right? Your purpose being to create value for someone else. So thanks again, Surin. And as we wrap this session up, I'd want to ask my final question. So for those who took notes at the entrepreneur panel, my final question and the final prize would be, give me, seen somebody trying to pull somebody else's notes, no. The final question would be, Mr. Javier exercising, that is okay. The final question would be, give me 3 tips, right? We know Bevon gave us 4, right? Devon gave us 3 more, and I think Adana gave us 2. So give me any 3 tips that the entrepreneur panel gave at the ending.
So follow up again. Know your numbers. Turn your passion into your profession. And love what you do.
Hey, well, off the bat, give him my prize now, man. Give him my prize. So, folks, thank you I mean, we would link up with Atlantic and we will bring down the prizes and hook up with Miss as well. Thank you for being a creative audience. I mean, this is the first time we're actually doing it with the audience in the crowd. And I know back to school has always been it's a blessing and a challenge as well, right? And it opens us up to opportunities. It also opens us up to a couple of challenges. And as we talk about entrepreneurship as a whole being that key to solving challenges and solving problems and really executing from there. I want to just kind of recap the panel. We had Rachel already from the market movers, kind of talking about opportunities in agriculture, and she talked about so many different things in agriculture, right? Jari and Paul kind of talked about digital in business. We heard about Web 2.0, Web 3.0. We heard about a little bit about cryptocurrency as well. We heard from the panel, the esteemed panel, right? From Adana to Bevon to Devon, right? So A-list curation, you make sure you check that out. Pro Sports Clinic, TNT Limited, and the Green Bartender. So those were the three entrepreneur panel. Then we ended things off with our mentor moment with Surin Maharaj. So folks, I have been Shadron Collins, and I would always tell persons, it's been real. It's been nice. It's been real nice. Thanks for having us. Catch you on your entrepreneurial journey.
All right, so I would like to extend our appreciation for you sharing this with us at Vessigny Secondary. And we're looking forward to the competition. And you know, we're about learning and trying new things. And you would have been seen us doing great things recently. But we have always been doing so.
Yeah, I know the same. That's always been the trend. Upward and onward was not necessarily a statement, you know, it's what we live by.
Right, and of course you are product of us here at Vessigny, and really appreciate what you are doing here for us.
All right, great. And like I said before, this has been phase 1. We call this the Spark. Phase 2 is around learning and build. So we're going to give you and introduce you to our digital platform and also partner with mentors to kind of help build out ideas. Phase 3 is where we have the competition, who can create the best idea, right? So just like the Marvels, we're doing things in phases. So phase 1 was the Spark, phase 2 is going to be learning and build, and phase 3 is where we hit with the competition. So look out for more information, and we'll communicate that with Miss through the next term for you all. And good luck with your exams, right? So take care, folks. Bye.
Bye. Okay,